So this was definitely one of the better Bleach chapters we've had in quite a few weeks at the very least, because a lot of things actually happened. We're starting to explore another backstory, and honestly from the get-go when Grimmjow was just coming up in there going after that motherfucker Askin, I was just like, yes, like I said last chapter, and I'll say it again, Grimmjow is bringing the heat. And I was just like, even though it was the translation I read, because I'm sure they don't curse, but when he said, fuck it, keep running, I was like, that's the badassery that we've been missing right now. We've been wanting to see something like that, and leave it to him to do so. I mean, this comes into the big question of, is he ready? And I think totally he's ready right now. Yeah, granted, Askin hasn't shown any of his, true potential as of right now against Grimmjow, whatnot, but Grimmjow is coming in, and I really hope at the end of the day Grimmjow doesn't get shitted on, because if Grimmjow gets shitted on, then it was like, seriously, what was the fucking point? Granted, I do want to see a good fight. I want to see, at the very least, maybe get a little roughed up, but I want to see Grimmjow win, because if Grimmjow doesn't win, unless it's like a technicality or some cheating or some shit, I'm gonna be like, wow. And honestly, he felt a little bit Vegeta-esque when he was like, yeah, I don't like Kurosaki, but I'm gonna fuck you up. It's just like Vegeta, like, fuck Kakarot, but I'm still kicking your ass right now. And honestly, as I've said a couple chapters ago, again, Haschwald continues to get more and more interesting, to say the least, and honestly, it's looking like he's bigger than ever as far as his importance goes, because he's talking as if, like, yeah, he is pretty much the second in command, and it's almost as if, like, he doesn't completely, like, he's not completely aligned with what Yhwach always wants to do. For example, when he's like, Uryu shouldn't have this power, and that means that he's gotten a little bit of Yhwach's trust up until now to be able to go out on his own and go out on a solo mission, and that's probably because Yhwach is just, like, on a different scale of mind compared to what he believes. He honestly, you can see he still doesn't trust Uryu, and I mean, at the end of the day, I really don't see Uryu being 100% bad. Maybe he came in here to try to fuck shit up or whatever, and he got in way over his head, but I kind of agree with Haschwald to be skeptical. And then when Bazz came in, that's when the chapter really just started to get heated up. No pun intended, by the way. And it just seems so interesting, Haschwald's character in general, like, learning more about him, how he's pretty much changed ever since Yhwach came around. Now, we don't know his exact relationship to Yhwach and whatnot, but honestly, it's looking like is a potential possibility. He could either be the main guy at the end above Yhwach, or potentially be again, because we see that he's changed yet again, as Bazz pointed out. Like, you used to call me Bazz, he wasn't like this. So what was it that made Haschwald change? Was it that he's just scared of Yhwach? Was it that he just blindly believes in him? Because you could see, and I honestly do trust when Haschwald said, I didn't know that you were going to be one of the casualties, or if I said I didn't, you wouldn't believe me anyway, right? And the fact that Bazz says, at one point in time we were close, we were friends. So, again, that makes you wonder, okay, what made Haschwald change? And also, he truly can't be that evil. So maybe the whole thing of him eventually being the bigger threat might not come into play, unless in this fight with Bazz he totally says, fuck everything that I used to be. I'm what I am now, and I'm an asshole. And speaking of which, you can see that Haschwald's on a whole other level than Bazz. One of the reasons why Bazz wasn't chosen was because at the end of the day, he wasn't on that level, and Haschwald, he's gonna wax the floor with this dude. And I think the biggest thing that this chapter brought forth, to be honest with you, is the fact that in the nighttime, Yhwach and Haschwald switch powers or whatever. So it could be that Haschwald is the one responsible for resurrecting Yhwach. It could be that as well. And the thing about it is this makes sense why Bach had to rush back to the Von den Rake back in the beginning of the first part of the war, the end of the first part of the war, where they were like, yo, we gotta hurry back because the powers were gonna switch. And maybe Haschwald himself isn't all that strong, but once he gets Bach's powers, he becomes Beast, or I don't know exactly how that works and whatnot. And if, let's just say Haschwald was to die right now, would that mean that Bach doesn't just switch his powers, he stays with them, or Bach will die automatically once Haschwald dies? Are they connected somehow? Because if that's the case, then Haschwald will be the biggest piece to defeating Bach. And then the ending, seeing Bazz in front of that building, I believe that was Bazz in front of the burning building. The difference between everything is, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if while a lot of these other Stern Ritter were suckered in by Bach himself, there's a possibility maybe Haschwald found Bazz and he brought him into it, and that's why they kind of became friends. Maybe, who knows, before Haschwald even resurrected Yhwach, assuming that he was the person or whatnot, maybe he was friends with him. Maybe they were comrades at some given point. Maybe they're even brothers. Who the hell knows? I mean, he says, back when you used to call me Bazz, before he became Bazz. So they've been acquaintances at the very least for quite some time. And with all that being said, honestly, just a very good chapter. Getting more into Haschwald. I can't wait to find out more about Bazz's backstory, because prior to this, Bazz was just like another one of the Stern Ritter. Okay, he's kind of cool. He has as an attitude, but finding out a little bit more about his connections, how much he knows about Yhwach and them. I mean, he was paying attention at the very least because he knows about Yhwach and him switching roles or whatnot. It could be that Haschwald told him some of these things because they used to be very close. At the same time, Haschwald, again, having this big responsibility. I mean, at the end of the day, if he's getting box powers at nighttime and they switch, Haschwald could potentially be the final villain, but with the mindset that we're starting to find out that he once had, he could potentially go, you know, good in a sense, and maybe it could kind of be like Aizen and Gin all over again. So an 8 out of 10 for this chapter. Some progression, getting more exposition into what's going on, getting a little bit more into these characters' backstories, exactly what we needed, and honestly, Grimmjow just kicking off the chapter in a proper epic way. We needed that epicness, and he's bringing it. But let me know what you guys think. First of all, do you think that if Haschwald was to die, Bach would have nowhere for his powers to go, so he would lose them and never get them back? Or would he just completely stay with them? Is Haschwald living being, if anything, something of a burden to Bach? Also, what do you think is the relationship between Bazz, B, and Haschwald? We know that they used to be friends at one point. Was it that he saved him and that's how he got his powers? What's up with that? And your overall thoughts of the chapter. Again, one of the best chapters we've had of Bleach in quite some time. And leave it to Grimmjow, Bazz, B, and Haschwald to do so. That's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, if you do so as well, that'd be amazing. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.